Hey guys, this is Jacques from Makulu Linux. I'm just making another update video on the KDE edition that I'm working on. The last video I made, I showed off a lot of the flashy stuff, mostly compers that I got fully functional in KDE. And of course the fact that I'd removed KWin completely from the system. So for those that haven't seen the last video, this new KDE is pretty much based on the Compass Windows Manager. It's got everything enabled, wobbly windows, the effects of bouncy windows when you maximize, minimize, and of course all the animations, the previews on the bottom panel or top panel if you move your panel. The cube effect is there and fully operational. The unfolded cube with the reflections and shadows, the transparency throughout the operating system. Everywhere you look, menus are transparent, windows are transparent, a lot of transparency. So that was the last edition. On this version, well, it's work in progress, but what I've done since last time was I've started spending a lot of time on all the back-end stuff, you know, testing, changing stuff, testing, changing, editing, changing, testing, getting the network to work, getting all the system icons to fully work on multiple systems. Also started sorting out the menus and apps that I'm going to be including, so I've started playing around with a lot of the apps. There's a couple more in the menus here. Getting Bluetooth to work. It also supports Android phones, just all the back-end stuff. So I've updated a lot on that. I have also started you know, working on the theme a bit more. The theme is never something that is always set in stone. I'm always messing around with that. And one of the things I always find is you know, the fonts. I need to focus more on fonts with this version, because with KDE you have so many different versions of colors. You know, if you actually open your settings manager, you'll see you've got a color for background, a color for text, then you got a color for Windows background, a color for Windows text, and you get highlight text and highlight background, and you know, so it's just text after text after text. And so you always have to kind of make sure that that the text is clearly visible and that the colors are always melding and they, you know, they're always flowing and so forth. And I think this is pretty much the theme that I've come up with now. I've done quite a lot of editing on the themes, and this to me was the perfect theme. Mainly what set off the whole redesigning the theme was the fact that I've adapted a similar installer to the Kubuntu installer, you know, which makes it very easy for the guys to install. And the fonts and the text just wasn't showing up properly in that installer. So I had a choice: either I go and start messing around with installer backgrounds and just get into that whole mess, or I redesign the theme. And since theming is a strength of mine, I decided to start working on that, and that is pretty much why there was such big changes with the theme. I decided to make the theme a lot lighter and the text a lot darker, because previously the backgrounds were darker and the text was much lighter. But I actually found that caused issues not just in the installer but in third-party apps like Firefox. You know, you get this dark background in input boxes and things like that. And even changing it to make it slightly lighter, then it would conflict with the light fonts, and then I'd have to set the fonts darker, and then right-click menus would be then obviously sort of a little bit out of whack. And so it was just intended to just, you know, was like a chain reaction, and so I had to redesign the theme. So I came up with this nice light grey theme with sort of the black fonts, and with the blue highlights. I like, you know, my personal favorite is highlighting blue, so I had to keep it blue, but not a very bright blue. You know, you still have things that pop up orange, and you've got things that pop up red, and of course you've got the root theme, which is a much darker grey with a very bright orange highlight. Now the reason for this theme is, and it's got the orange box, the reason I wanted this to be so bright was when the users are actually editing, I mean when they're working inside root and they're editing things or changing things or doing things, I wanted them to know that they're in root, you know, that if they change something, if they edit something, that you know, be careful, you're in root now. And so that is why this theme's a little darker with the background, but the background's only darker to make the highlights stand out more. So so that's the root theme. The normal user theme is very nice. I managed to blend all the colors again. Spent some time on this in the last, I posted that other video about 2 days ago, I think, but the video itself was about 2 days old, so it's been about 4 days, give or take 4 or 5 days. I've been working around the clock about, I'd say about 15 hours a day on this edition, barely sleeping. I think I've slept maybe 3-4 hours max a day, if that. So I am a little on edge, but I'm making great progress on this version. I've started also working on all the actions, you know, send to KB3P, mount and unmount ISOs. If you click a file, you can sort of send and attach it to mail. So all the right click actions, I've added some in there. I'll probably add a couple more, but that's coming along nicely. Just all the little things that I know people will appreciate, you know. And like I said, I've started working with the apps and just making sure that the apps sort of complement each other. You know, you don't want to go overboard. You want to just put in what people will most likely use every day. So started working on that. Started working on wallpapers. As you can see, you've got this beautiful wallpaper. And since this KDE edition is such a huge step from the previous version, and of course it, you know, with version 6 I started, but more in version 7 I really saw such a big step forward of where the project really matured, and it's I kind of found my place in what I want to look for and how I wanted to feel going forward, that it was kind of like a new day for me, you know. And so this wallpaper just kind of brings that feeling of this is a new version, this is a whole new direction. And so yeah, it's all bright in the clouds and green and blue. So yeah, I've also made changes to the desktop. The desktop had a folder view widget, which I've removed. I've actually put the desktop into folder view mode, so you can actually now add a folder or text document or whatever shortcuts on the actual desktop itself instead of inside the folder, which freed up a lot more space. I've been playing with the clock and the desktop quotes, the daily quotes. These quotes, I'm actually putting them in one by hand. So I'm literally typing out quote per quote. I think I'm close on 200 quotes that I've now entered into this little widget. I'll keep adding on to those because I want there to be plenty of quotes so the users can run that for months. And of course I can stream through more through updates, but I don't, you know, I want to put in plenty so I don't have to worry about those for a while. But yeah, so just a lot of work all around, just polishing and touching up everything and just making sure all the back-end stuff works. You know, KDE on it by itself is a very functional desktop environment. Even out of the box it's very functional. I mean, they're literally maybe 30-40 things that you kind of just do on standard, you know, and then you have basically a fully functional desktop environment. So I'm just now trying to concentrate on the little things, you know, just the little things that people don't always think about or don't always know how to do. So that's pretty much where I am right now. I think this edition will probably be beta worthy maybe by next week sometime if I keep going at this current pace. And I have some guys that do test for me. but they also do it in their free time, and I'm not sure what their experience level is using KDE. So I think when this does go beta and it's time to send it out to testers, I will be putting a notice on the website, say, you know, if you want to beta test KDE, you know, contact me, blah blah blah. Because I'd really like to get some guys that actually know KDE well, that can sort of test it and you know, give feedback from a KDE user perspective. Although you know, KDE users, I noticed that they're very set in their ways, so I don't know how they're going to adapt working with KWin and their you know, their default settings that they like to put into KWin, and then moving over to something like Compers. You know, there'll be advantages and disadvantages. Of course, the disadvantages would be that they may have created custom scripts for effects or whatever that they're used to running, and of course you know, Compers may not have that specific effect or whatever, so that might be some negatives, I guess. But on the positive side, I think Compers is a much smoother with effects. You know, it certainly is a lot smoother and faster. It's a lot faster, and it's a lot lighter on resources. You probably save about 200 megs of RAM just switching to Compers. So you know, and it, to me it's a lot prettier. I mean, if you look out there and you go look at the themes that you can put into KWin, they're very limited on theme design. You know, you kind of have to know things like GIMP and Photoshop and things extremely well. You have to be very good at that kind of thing to be able to make a decent theme. You know, if you want to kind of go sort of transparent with shadows, and it gets very complex. Whereas in something like Emerald Theme Manager, you can literally just drag a couple of slide bars and you know, put out this like beautiful window border. So it's a lot easier to theme in Compers than it is in KWin. So there are advantages and disadvantages, obviously. But anyway, enough of that. So this is the new KDE version. As you can see, I've sort of matured the theme a little bit more. It is very pretty at the moment, really pretty, and the colors just flow. I mean, like I said, using grey, blue, white, red, orange, dark grey, black, you know, so it's what, that's 7-8 different colors, and they all just flow so beautifully. You know, they just complement each other so well. So that was kind of hard to do, but I'm kind of happy with the end result. So that's the update for now. A lot of back-end stuff taking place, and I know I can't really show that off visually because it is back-end, but I am making progress, and yeah, this should be beta by next week, I'm guessing. Like I said, I've been working a lot on the installer. Just I found the installer which is very similar to KDE, and very similar to the Kubuntu installer. So I've just been you know, obviously working on that, just making that compatible, and fretting out any bugs and things. And so once I'm done with that, and the backend stuff on this system is done, I will probably enter this into beta. I haven't had a single crash in about a month or so, I think, so I'm happy with that. It's running quite stable, and yeah, so you guys should look out for the beta version next week. I'll probably make another video or something, but yeah, this is Jacques from Makulu Linux out. Cheers.